Hello. I hope everybody is doing well. I wanted to do just a really short video today about the places that all of my clients I have traveling so far next year. Lots of people traveling, lots of people booking travel. Travel sort of like booking sort of tends to slow down a little bit in December, but I'm anticipating quite a lot of comeback in January just because that's sort of people get busy with the holidays, and then in January there's a mad planning rush. So I'm gonna kind of talk about like where the trends are right now, where people are looking at planning their travel for next year, and sort of what is looking like it's going to continue to sort of stay open, and all of that good stuff. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first couple of trips I have for next year are going to the Caribbean. So I've got some honeymooners going to St. Lucia, and then I've got people going to Iceland and Scotland for their honeymoon. And then I also have people going to Italy in the very beginning of the new year for their honeymoon as well. So now that Europe is kind of opening back up, the restrictions are changing all the time. Basically, if you're double vaxxed at the moment, you're getting in. It just depends on when and how long and what kind of COVID test you also have to take for American citizens. So each country is very different, but if you're double vaxxed, you're probably able to get in, most likely, and then you just may also have to take a test with that as well. It's very complicated. I'm telling everybody, yes, there's all these new things changing. It's not changing all that much. We just have to be kind of very selective about where and how we get the information, because it's this whole pandemic, everything changes every couple of weeks in terms of what the actual rules are. So just when you are planning your travel, just be patient with it and know that what you book and when you book, the rules and the entry requirements are not going to look the same. Sometimes you have to do passenger locator forms, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you only have to take an antigen test to get into a country. Sometimes you have to take a PCR within 24 hours of entry. So it's really, really country dependent. Even in Europe, it's not the same all across the board. So just be patient and know that if you are working with a travel agent, that we are on top of all of these restrictions. Not even restrictions, just requirements, and that when you book, it's not going to look the same as when you travel. I can almost guarantee that. So just make sure you're keeping that in mind. So after that, I've got lots of people going to the Maldives. Maldives is a great, I think it's a very COVID friendly destination for honeymooners, because it sort of is, it's self-isolation within itself. You go to your resort and you pretty much sit in your private over the water bungalow or beachfront villa or whatever it is you decide to go with. And then, you might have these dinners and stuff that you go to, but a lot of times they're very exclusive and personalized. So they're not going to be in these, you go to the Maldives for isolation, which is great during a world virus pandemic. I also have people going to Curacao, lots of Caribbean. I think Caribbean's a good place to travel to at the moment, just because I think that, again, same thing with the Maldives, it's very, you kind of go to be by yourself and isolated. You don't go for to be around a lot of people. It's not like Europe. Not that I'm saying we shouldn't go to Europe right now, but I do think that if you are a little bit, if you want to travel and you're feeling a little bit paranoid about COVID, then you should choose to go somewhere like the Caribbean. And I would even say probably the Caribbean over the Maldives if you do exclusivity, because going to the Maldives, there's a lot of flying involved. So you're going to be in airports a lot. I mean, you're going to have an overnight layover in Doha, which you can stay at the airport hotel there, of course, but there's a lot more interaction prior to getting there, even though you might be more isolated once you're there. So kind of have to pick and choose which suits your needs the best. Then from there, I've also got people going to Scotland, Ireland, Italy again, lots of Italy. People are, I think Americans, I think we have missed Italy during COVID so much. So a lot of people are like really snatching up Italy and Greece as well. And I'm just here to say that prices that you might have seen for Italy and Greece prior to COVID, you ain't gonna get that now. It doesn't exist. There are not deals to be found. You can just take whatever you thought travel cost pre-COVID and put it out the window. Like deals, they don't really exist except for maybe like the Caribbean. Maldives is still affordable. Places that were able to consistently stay open, you might get normal rates at, but I'm telling you now that Greece and Italy, they're not going to be offering you any deals. And also like service, I don't know if we're ever gonna, it's gonna be a while before we see service return to the standard that we were used to prior to the pandemic. So just make sure you keep that in mind also. I know this has kind of like gone from a rant of like where my clients are traveling to also COVID talk, but I think it's kind of important that we discuss this during this life right now. So then some of my other favorite trips that I planned, I've got people going to Costa Rica, which not really Caribbean, but can be, I guess. It's not Caribbean island, but it is Caribbean. And then also, like I said, I've got some very exciting trips planned. Like I've got some clients that are doing like an Italy, France tour. So they're doing like Milan and like Como, and then they're going to Cinque Terre, and then they're going to the French Riviera, and then they're going to Paris. And so I think like that's a really fun trip where they're kind of like, it's different than like the standard Italy or standard France trip, and I really like that. I think it's like a very special and unique experience for them. And so they're kind of experiencing that. They're doing a day trip into Switzerland. They're doing a lot, and they're gone for 2.5 weeks. But it's like a really sort of fast pace. Like they're seeing and doing a lot, but they're also very relaxed. They're staying 5 days in Nice, and they get to totally detox, doing a vineyard tour. They're doing perfumery tour and stuff like that. But also, as busy as it is, it's also super chill at the same time. Like they're not overpacked. Like they're doing sunset sailing on a sailboat on Como, and then but they also are renting jet skis in Nice. So there's a lot going on in that trip, and I really think that like stuff like that is kind of special now. But here's the other thing is like multi-leg Europe trips are going to cost a lot more, because if you didn't think there were hotel deals, there's definitely not flight deals to be had. And a lot of the budget airlines like Ryanair, like EasyJet, a lot of these airlines, if you did want to do your own flight, a lot of them are not like the same routes don't run that used to, and not nearly as frequently. So like there used to be because I live in Palma, there used to be like Palma to all sorts of destinations all over Europe with Ryanair, and there's like maybe like London to Palma Ryanair, but there's not a whole lot of other options, and definitely not in the off season, and it's only like at peak, and then flights are going to be more expensive. So just keep that in mind, that transfers and flights are harder to come by, selling out quicker, and more expensive than they ever used to be in like the recent past. I think that like the trends that we're seeing a lot, I think a lot of people, I think Hawaii is going to be also very, for domestic travelers, going to be very heavily leaned on destination in 2022, just because it is domestic. I don't know right now, I don't have anybody traveling to Hawaii in like the immediate future. If you have to test to get it or not, I think you do. But it is domestic, and so it feels a little bit safer, even though it's not really. It's like the same as going to the Caribbean, if not, but just a longer flight. So you're trapped on a Tim tube with more people for a longer period of time. But Hawaii is going to be leaned on a lot because it is domestic, so you don't have to stress as much about entry requirements. I'm also thinking that I don't know why people aren't going for Florida, but I have a lot of people going for Florida next year, with but not honeymooners, just a lot of bachelorette parties and group activities going to Florida, but the Keys are a really great destination, and I think people should be leaning on that more. I think that part of the reason people don't choose Florida is because it can be a little bit more pricey, or people think it can be more pricey, but it doesn't have to be by any means. If you want seclusion, you can go to, you don't have to go to Key West, but you can go to, Duck Key or Marathon, or there's a ton of, there's a lot of options. Little Deer Island, I think, is another one. Or is it just Deer Island? Little Deer Island? Can't remember. But there's a lot of options there that you can choose to go to. Also, if you kind of want like the vibe of Italy, like if you want the vineyards vibe, Napa Valley is absolutely stunning. And then you also have options, to go up to New England during the summer and visit Martha's Vineyard. Not that's an Italy vibe, but that sort of is very, you have it's New England, so of course it's very England, but it is a very special place to visit. It's really stunning. There's a lot of history. So it could, give you that fix if you are a little bit scared to travel to Europe during a world pandemic. So those are the big trends that we're seeing. Indonesia is starting to open up. So Bali's just opened. I can't recall if the Philippines, I think they're planning on opening if they haven't already. And Thailand as well. So those are all starting to open up. So we are seeing a lot of inquiries, people wanting to go to these destinations, whereas before they were kind of completely off the table. So we're definitely seeing a lot of more inquiries there. I just think that for each person, I think, we're coming into our 3rd year of doing this COVID stuff. And, a lot of news sources and people are saying that it's going to sort of get to the point where, eventually, yes, it's just going to kind of be like a flu. But it's sort of like, especially as Americans, I think we're just going to start taking it, and Europe's starting to lean this way too, is we're like, you need to get vaccinated to do things. And it's sort of just like you have to do your own risk assessment and see what's worth it to you and what's not. So it might not be worth it to you to travel to Bali, in the next couple of years, but you might be okay with going to Hawaii. You might be okay with going to Costa Rica or something like that. So it's really, I think a lot of like what's going to be happening in the upcoming months and next year is going to be a lot of personal risk assessment and what you personally are comfortable with. And I cannot stress this enough, but please buy travel insurance, because you never know. And like flights are delayed, bags are lost. The amount of travel faux pas I've had in this last year is like myself personally, like bags getting lost and stuff. Not even talking about like all the crazy things that clients have had happen to them. So please buy the travel insurance. It is so worth it. That $500 at the time might be like, oh, that's stupid. I won't need that. It'll be fine. COVID's going to go away by then. COVID's not going away anytime soon. And the repercussions of this on the travel industry are going to last a long time. And so, I mean, you can't expect like airlines that laid off thousands and thousands of people and haven't rehired nearly as many as they laid off, but then are planning their full flight schedules to be running all the flights. So you have to kind of take everything with a grain of salt and just purchase the travel insurance, because you will have so much more peace of mind. And this is something I will say about travel insurance that a lot of people don't realize. I'm like, this has just gone off on a whole different tangent than what I thought it was going to be. But a lot of things, you have to buy the travel insurance like within 5 days of booking your trip. So as soon as you make that initial deposit. So if you say like today, I decided, I don't know why I picked this up to do this, but say today that I decided that I was going to book a trip to Morocco for August of next year, I can pay that deposit even if I just booked the flights. I'm like, okay, I'm booking my flights. Within 5 days, I need to decide if I'm gonna purchase travel insurance or not. And not all travel insurance is the same. So please be aware of what you're buying and what you're purchasing. We personally use, depending on which vendor we use. So if I'm booking through Classic Vacations, I will use their insurance that they provide, because it's the most coverage for that product. However, for anything that I might be piecing together, I'm going to recommend Travel Insured. is wonderful and has so many covered reasons, and is affordable, and it is a brilliant service to use. So I recommend them. If you have questions about like any of this, please never hesitate to reach out to me. I will leave a link below to inquiries for travel if you're looking for help planning your next trip. I'm done with my rant for today. This totally went off the track, but I hope that I answered some of your questions about travel for 2022. I can't believe that it's already 2022. I'm like shocked at this. So anyways, thank you guys for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.